Baby Dude is back with another Baby Dude interview. Today I have a four-time dad, Super Bowl champion wide receiver with the Green Bay Packers, played in the NFL for 10 years, and now calls games for Fox. Today I have Greg Jennings. Thanks, Greg, for joining me. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, as good as I can be. Just juggling life.
For sure. Like I said, four kids. You're busy. I see you got a new puppy over there. Now, was that the kid's idea, or was that you? Like, how'd that work?
It was the kids' idea, and as we do as parents, we say no for as long as we possibly can, and then somehow their vice just sinks in deep, and we cave. So that's what happened. So we now have a new Connie Corso, 11 weeks old, female, and she's just a little rambunctious at the moment.
Yeah, that's some work. So, but dad gives in and does most of the work, right? Is that kind of how that rolls?
Correct. Always. You hit the nail on the head right there. And to be honest, um, we kind of know how it's going to play out as parents and as dads. It's like, yes, this is why we say no for so long, but then eventually we cave because we want the kids to have that experience, but we also know we're going to have to take on the brunt of the load.
Absolutely. So doing these interviews, I like to talk to dads with extreme jobs and dads who have had time crunches. Like you had your kids while you're playing in the NFL, training, doing all that stuff. How did you manage to balance like being a badass NFL wide receiver while having four kids?
Oh, it was my wife. It was completely my wife. She was kind of the troubleshooter, um, the everything, the common denominator that kind of made everything work seamlessly. She, at the moment, is an entrepreneur and has oodles of things going on. Her plate is overflowing. But when I was playing, it was all about supporting what I was doing, and she was great with that. And so when it came to work, I was able to go, lock in, be 100% focused. And then when I left the facility, I was very present. I learned how to shut off football and work or implement it in ways to where it didn't feel like work to those around me.
For sure. And I guess going along with that world, the traveling and doing all that stuff, and I'm sure that's a tough one to leave. Hey, see you in a few days. I got to go to Pittsburgh or whatever. I mean, how do the kids kind of deal with that?
You know, they enjoyed it initially for the most part. They enjoyed it because they got to see the games, they got to watch the games. But I think the older they got, and with the exception of my oldest, it started to weigh on myself and as well as them because I would get ready to leave. They saw me packing that bag, and they're like, "No, Daddy, can you stay?" And that weighs on you. It starts to weigh on you, and you understand that you have a responsibility and that you're doing this for the betterment of the family. It's financially, it doesn't matter what occupation you are. You're going to work so that you can actually keep whatever you have afloat. And but when your kids start pulling on you in ways to where they really want you to be home more and present, and you have the luxury to kind of shut it down at some point. That's kind of what happened with me. The older they got, the more they wanted me to be home, the more they wanted me to be involved in the day to day that I couldn't be, specifically on the weekends.
Got you for sure. I mean, I've talked to a few athletes that said the same thing where it's like they got to like near towards the end of their career, but still very good. And like, I just shut it down. I want to spend time with my kids and do that stuff. So you have three girls, one boy, correct?
Yes,
I'm
yes.
just curious, was this a situation of we are going to shoot until we have a boy?
I get asked that all the time. All the time. And the reality of it is no, I was done. After the three girls, I'm like, it's inevitable. We're a girl family. I'm a girl dad. I'm cool. I'm content with that. However, we would go on vacations, we would go on trips, and we would let the kids stay home with the nanny, or anywhere we would go. You could be out for dinner, come back, walk through the house, walk in the garage, come through the door, and the kids run straight past mommy, the girls at the time. And mommy got fed up with that. And she's like, we got to get something else in here. And so we tried again. I didn't even know that we were trying, but who really cares? You like to practice. So,
Yeah, who cares? Yeah.
yeah. And so it was a surprise to me. And we found out it was a boy. And that was just, as a dad, you want to have that son. And I love my girls. I think they made me a better human being overall. But to be able to have that same likeness as a son, to have a son, it was the icing on the cake for me, which is why we named him Ace.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah, we have two boys, and one's 3 and one's 10 months. So they're pretty close in age. And we're scared to try because we don't want 3 boys. Like my wife's like, I can't handle more boys in this house. So we want a girl, but it's a tricky game you play with that.
It is. We have friends that have 3 boys, and we travel together, and it is a riot. Like their house is a wrestling rink, anywhere and everywhere.
Dude, it's so crazy. A 3-year-old pushes the 10, already pushing him down. Like he just started walking. And like I just keep telling him because his sizing is bigger than his brother at his age. So I'm like, dude, watch out, he's coming, bro. Like he's coming for you. Don't push too hard at this point because he's catching up real fast. But yeah, kids.
That's how you establish that hierarchy, though. As a big brother, is like, no, I'm gonna let you know I'm alpha over here.
Exactly. Oh, kids are so weird. It's speaking of having your kids or whatever. Obviously, we're dad interview. Being a pro athlete, this is a question I love to ask athletes. I love sports. I grew up playing sports, clearly not to your level or any pro level like that. How hard do you push for sports? Because I work at a high school. I've coached little league teams and done that stuff. Parents are crazy, man. Like, how do you balance as a pro? Because you know what you're doing, but like kind of taking that step back and dealing with it.
So I don't push. I don't, and I know I'm unique in that sense. But so really quick, so growing up, I mean, we all been around those parents, those dads that they just pushed, and their son was going to be whatever, or their daughter was going to be this, and they wanted it almost more than the kid, and it backfired. And I just never wanted to be that dad. In knowing that I had achieved the level of play that I was at, I just wanted to learn, okay, there's a fine line. This is where I feel like having the girls first kind of softened me, where I didn't want to push them to do what they didn't want to do because I wanted them to do it. And so you have to find a way, and then I was able to find a way to kind of caress. So I always have hired coaches. I've always told the coaches right out the gate that you coach, I echo. That way I can remain a cheerleader. I'm not viewed as my dad is coaching, my dad is doing. And as much as I want to partake at times, I've learned to kind of just let go. The older they get, I have a 14-year-old volleyball player, and I've never played a game of volleyball in my life, but you're a competitor. And so you learn the sport pretty quickly, regardless of what it is that they play. And the psyche is where I feel like I help my kids out more than anything. The mentality the mental approach of how to overcome that barrier that a lot of athletes struggle with of being great. It's already in you. Just, you got to believe it. And you got to just play to that belief, and everything else will fall in line. So it's, for me, I just caress. My wife actually probably shares more than I share at times. I pride myself in being a good listener and just allowing the kids to tell me what they see and what they want to accomplish. And then we kind of try to navigate that path as best we can.
What I hear a lot too from athletes is, and the car ride home, how big that is. Like, do you say like, hey, great job, which obviously you do, but do you say, hey, in that second period, maybe you're in the wrong spot? Like, Or do you just like let them come to you, maybe put some music on, sing in the car a little bit, and go about it that way?
It's all of the above. All of the above. I'm not going to sit here and act like it is all of the above. There are times, and particularly with my oldest, because she has very thick skin. I can tell her, my kids know I say this, I'm going to always tell you the truth. So if you ask me, I'm going to tell you truth. I'm not going to tiptoe. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is, what I saw. She's the one that can really take it. And so we'll be driving home for 5 hours from out of town, coming back from a volleyball meet, and she's asking all these questions, and she wants to know truth. And it's a fine line because you can always jump straight to the negative or to what you could have done better. But I always try to start with, okay, well, there was improvement, because she's going to be hard on herself when kids know when they haven't played well or they didn't perform up to par, or to their own standard. And so I try not to harp on that, but I try to add to it if there's something that needs to be added. But it's tough, Jeff. It's tough because you see it and you want them to see it. You want them to grasp the entire picture of it. But the reality of it is they're at the stages where that's just not going to happen right away.
Yeah,
and you're at a phase in life.
It's right there. I'm
Yes, yes, and you've seen it millions of times. So obviously, it's like you don't understand. You don't see it. You can't anticipate that. You can't.
Right. And I'm sure like 4 kids, and like I'm not to that stage yet with mine, but like different personalities per kid. So like if your daughter wants to like, here, give it to me or whatever, and the next one's like, don't even talk to me, Dad. Like don't deal. Like I don't want part of it. So like it's interesting to navigate that too. And like you have teenagers, like how has that transition been? Like moving on social media and like how's that go, man? Like
it has been it's going.
No
it's
choice.
Going. You always, especially being a girl dad. I was up at the school yesterday for an incident that I just felt like it needed daddy's presence. Everything was great, but it's having a teenager. You have to be able to adapt and evolve. We tell our daughter all the time, we're first time teenage parents as well. You're going to turn 15. We're going to be first time 15-year-old parents. Like every step you take forward, we're taking the same step at the same time. We're learning on the fly just like you. And the more you can communicate, the more you can share. I know it's uncomfortable. I've been there. And I'm a very transparent father. So I share things that most parents probably would be like, why would you tell them that? My wife looks at me at times like, but she does the same thing. And I think it's important because when they know we're in this together, like, yes, there's a fine line. I'm a parent, you're a child, but I've never parented a 15-year-old before. I've never parented a female, you know what I mean? So there are experiences that you're going to have that mommy may have had, I didn't have, but the more you can share, the more we can pour into and give you our advisory, not always tell you exactly what to do. Because one thing I truly believe is you got to make your own mistake. Because if you're making my mistake, you're just going to make my mistake until I stop telling you what to do. And then you're going to make your own mistake. Then that's when the growth happens. And so when it comes to teenagers, we have one, but we have our second she's literally like a little grown woman. I don't know. She's been here and back and been here and back.
Yeah, that's maybe one of my favorite quotes I've heard doing these dad interviews is you're a 15-year-old and it's we're in this together this is my first time being a dad of a 15-year-old. Like that's a great mentality. Yeah. I think a lot of parents to have your daughter hear that from you is huge. Like, yeah, we're in this together. That's awesome. I really appreciate you throwing that out. And I think it's a good tip for dads in general. That's awesome. And to end on a fun one, Greg, the dad bod, right? Dads have issues with the dad bod. I ballooned up like 25 pounds when I had my first kid. And I've always been working out and athletic. And I've lost it now, but it takes a lot of work. Dude, you're kicking ass in the gym, dude. Like I see you on Instagram, like you're killing. So what's your advice for dads who don't have maybe the drive that you do? And I mean, even athletes, some don't have the drive that you do after they retire. Some of them gain weight, whatever. But how do you find the time or do that?
Make it important. And sometimes we always have to have some type of incentive. And for me, I have a couple of incentives. I have young kids. I'm a young parent. And I told my kids I want to be able to be active with them. I want to participate in their sports when they're at home and practice and help facilitate that way. But also, even above that, my wife and I, we've been married now 15, going on 16 years this year. And we met in the 5th grade, very young. She's never seen or experienced what I classify as a soft Greg. And so I'm like, that is what you were attracted to. I don't want to ever lose what you were attracted to. I want to add on to it. And so for me, that's my motivation. Like, she's never going to experience me soft. Like, that's just period. Like, it's not, people see me and they're like, man, you're doing crazy. She is the one that motivated me. She ran a marathon, wasn't a runner, and trained for this marathon for 4 months, less than 4 months, and ran it and completed it. And I was sitting around doing nothing as far as competitive workouts or whatever. And that's how I jumped into the world of bodybuilding. And it just jump-started me. And now it's become a lifestyle that it's so healthy. It gives me my time, but my time in a way that impacts and affects everyone for the better. So it's all about, man, just find your reason why. Sometimes it's not intrinsic. You know, you got to find something that's outwardly motivating you to drive you to do that. But it's important. If you don't do it for you, do it for the ones around you.
Absolutely. I said, I got up to 207. I'm typically like a 185. So like, yeah, I gained some weight, both kids. And I tell my wife, I feel the same way you do about like, I was in pretty damn good shape when I met her. Like, and she's like, no, it's fine. You look great. I'm like, no, I don't. Why you lie to me? Don't lie to me. Like, but yeah, I think, yeah, I totally agree to find motivation. And I'm to the age now where, and I have kids, I'd rather go to the gym for my time than go to the bar and hang out. And yeah, I think you just kind of get over that at some point for sure. But good for you. Yeah. Everybody follow this guy on Instagram. Do the weight you're throwing around. You look great. You're killing.
I appreciate it.
You so much for being on here, Greg, and taking a little time out of your day with the pup running around right there. And awesome. If you have one tip to throw to dads, anything, any wisdom, anything, what you got?
Always listen. It's easy for us to be, as men, to try to find solutions and answers. I try to do that with my wife. I try not to always have something to say in response to a mind dump or a problem that she may be experiencing. Because sometimes when we share and when they share, they're not looking for you to give them an answer. They're just looking for you to listen. And so with, again, having 3 daughters, I've learned you're going to be listening more than you are sharing. You're going to want to share, and you're going to have to learn to just listen. And so for me, it's taught me how to just kind of pay attention to what they're really saying versus trying to respond to what you've heard.
Yeah, great. So there it is. Listen, guys, just listen. Again, one more time, thank you. It's really cool for me. I grew up in Minnesota. I moved to LA like 12 years ago, something like that.
Okay.
Grew up a Vikings fan. Dude, even as a Packer like you were, which, you know, Minnesota Vikings and Packer fans, you know all that mess, which we're a little happy right now. We're feeling good.
I know you are. I know you are.
The demise of it. Anyway, you were always so fun to watch, even as a Packer. Always smiling. You catch a touchdown. You never got angry. You were always just a fun-loving player. And then when you came to the Vikings, we were all super happy about it. So it's cool to like get to talk to you. And you're still in Minnesota, right?
I am.
And
right in Minnesota, in Edina.
awesome. Well, all Viking fans appreciate you, man. And I thank you for coming on. Baby dude out. We'll catch you next time.